What day were you involved in an accident?
December 28th.
What time?
Around 6, between 6 and 7 o'clock at night.
Dark?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live?
I live in Fulton, but the accident happened in Jeff City.
In what state?
Missouri.
You were on foot, you were walking.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you going to or coming from?
I was leaving my sister's house across the street, and I was crossing the street to get to my brother's car.
So go over there and show me where you were crossing. Show me your sister's house.
I'm not sure which one it is.
You're right in the middle of the block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're leaving your sister's house in the middle of the block, and show me where you were going.
I was going across to over here.
You were crossing in the middle of the street, and it was dark.
Yes.
When you cross the street in the middle of the block in the dark, are there street lamps on that street? Yes or no? Do you know? Or if you don't know, tell me I don't know.
I don't know.
Are there street lamps on your street?
There are, but most of them don't work.
Okay, so there are no street lights. If they don't work, then there are no lights. So it's dark, right?
Yes.
And you're crossing in the middle of the block. You wearing any reflective clothing?
No.
So tell me what happened.
So me and my brother went to visit my sister. She lives in Jeff City, which is 30 minutes away.
I got all that. You're crossing the street.
We were gonna leave, so we were gonna get in my brother's car instead of my sister's. My brother had parked across the street, and he had already crossed the street, so I was going behind him. I had looked both ways. There was nobody coming, so I was crossing the street, and my sister was behind me. She hadn't gotten on the street yet. And as I'm walking, in my peripheral vision, I see a motorcycle come from off the intersection, turn onto the road that I'm walking on. And I wasn't close to the end of the road at all, so I figured he would have time to see me.
Let me stop you right there, and let me process what you just said. You thought that he would have time to see you.
Yes.
You were thinking what he would be thinking.
Yes.
And?
And I was already more than halfway across the street. I only had a few more steps to get to the other side. So I just quickened up a little bit, and I was almost fully across the street, and then I got hit.
Whose fault is that?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's anyone's fault.
Well, certainly not his fault. Certainly not his fault. You saw him.
Yes.
Okay. You're jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a corner. You saw him, and you said to yourself, "Self, I think I can make it," right? And you didn't. I mean, you don't think that this man sped up because he saw you to hit you, right? Of course not. You don't think he hit you intentionally, right?
No.
You understand that you were in the wrong crossing in the middle of the street.
No.
Well, you are. You're supposed to cross at the corner. That way, people stop. I don't know if you have stop signs, if you have lights. Stop signs or light?
Neither.
Where?
There's not a stop sign or a light. There's a light at the very end of the street.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to go over to the street where you live. And I want you to show me where the light is.
It's not in this picture. It's at the very end.
Okay, now on the other street below,
This one?
that one, is it a two-way street?
Yes.
It's a two-way street. And at the intersection there, you have 4 lanes of traffic, and you're telling me there's no stop sign or yield sign?
There's a stop sign here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Of course there's a stop sign. So at the other end of the street, there's a light, and at the corner, there's a stop sign where vehicles have to stop. Right? Right. Now you can step back. So you got hit. And what happened?
I didn't black out. I wasn't unconscious, but it was kind of blurry for a few moments. I just really remember getting hit. I rolled a few times. Everything really became clear again. A few minutes later, my legs hurt a lot. I stayed on the ground for a while. I don't know exactly how long. I want to say somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes until the ambulance got there, and they put me on a stretcher and took me to the ambulance.
I can already see where this case is going, because this is what you have. You have somebody who is jaywalking, and then you have a guy who's on a motorcycle going down a dark street who maybe was going a little bit too fast and hits her as she's jaywalking across the street and didn't see her, and that's the problem. But this is the thing that I find so interesting. Yes, pedestrians I think in almost every state of the United States has the right of way, and so they are, by law, you have to stop for them. But here's the deal. Here is the deal. Where I live, time and time again, see people jaywalking when there are crosswalks not even that far away from them. And this is the thing. You have access to places where you can cross more or less as safe as possible. And at the same time, they decide instead that they're going to jaywalk in a very unsafe manner. And then if they get hit, they blame the other person that they're at fault when they are in the incorrect place, not the person on the motorcycle. And now you are hearing suggestions from the mother that he, in fact, on purpose went and tried to hit her, which I definitely don't agree. So I want to know, what do you guys think? Do you think that if someone is jaywalking that they should be held responsible? Because in my opinion, if you're jaywalking, especially when there are crosswalks and stoplights and stop signs and all the things you need to be crossing safely, I do not think that if you get hit, that you are a victim of something. Like, it's bad. Yes, I don't want you to get hit by anything, but I'm telling you right now, you can't be blaming this guy from what I've seen so far. Let's continue listening to the evidence, and we're going to see if there's anything else, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Go ahead.
I remember he was there too. He apologized for the accident, and he said he didn't mean to do it, and I believed him. I said, it's okay, and I said, thank you. At some point, he left. I remember my brother was there with me while I was still on the road.
And where was your sister?
She was there. I could see her pacing in the, peripheral vision, and I could see she was on the phone with somebody, but I couldn't hear. And I think there were 3, maybe 2 people around me. My brother was definitely one of them. He was, right to my side, on the ground, kneeling above me, and he had called my mom. Mm-hmm. There was another person, I think somebody who was just driving and got out of their car, and he said... No,
don't tell me what anybody said that got out of their car.
All right.
You can't. It's the law. You can't tell me what somebody else said. The ambulance took you to the hospital?
Yes.
Did you stay in the hospital?
Until 2 in the morning.
So you didn't spend the night there?
No.
And did they take x-rays? You had no broken bones?
No.
Had some scrapes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions that maybe you don't know. Now I'm going to have your mom stand up. When this happened, the defendant gave someone, either your brother or your sister, his information, his insurance information, et cetera. That's correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you contact his insurance company?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And ultimately, his insurance company said the accident was your daughter's fault and they weren't covering any of her expenses.
No, that's not what they told me.
What did they tell you?
They told me that he didn't have coverage. I have the voicemail for it.
Did you have coverage?
I did, ma'am. I do believe that they didn't cover it because it wasn't my fault. That's what I was told.
Do you have a letter from your insurance company?
I have one of my insurance cards, a picture of it.
Okay, I'll take a look at that for now. After his insurance company told you either he didn't have insurance or they weren't paying the bill, did you consult with a lawyer?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay. Now, you just heard your daughter tell me, and she's absolutely charming, lovely,
Thank you.
honest, that she didn't think this accident was anybody's fault. You agree with that?
I don't. From what I've been told, no, I don't.
I'd like you to tell me why. Let me recap the facts for you.
Okay.
He hasn't said a word really yet, but from what your daughter tells me, and as I said, she's lovely and bright and articulate and I think honest.
Mm-hmm. She is.
She was jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a stop sign, not at a light. I haven't asked him, but it's clear even from your daughter's rendition that he certainly didn't intentionally hit her, right? Your daughter says that her brother jaywalked first, crossed over. She was going second, and her older sister, I'm right, you were her older sister, right?
Yes.
Was behind her. She said when she got almost to the middle of the block, she saw from her peripheral vision.
I was more than halfway across the street.
She was more than halfway across the street. She saw in her peripheral vision his motorcycle, which had its lights on, but she thought she could make it because she said, I thought that he would see me and either stop or go around. I don't know what you thought, either stop, go around. She thought that he would be able to see her. It was like looking in a crystal ball. And he did, in fact, hit her because she was mistaken. He didn't see her, right? No lights. She's crossing in the middle of the street. She saw him. He didn't see her. And it was an accident. Because what my shock is that you are suing him for not only actual damages from whatever out of pocket you may have had, but punitive damages. And you know what that is?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
To punish him for a wrongdoing. Why would you think that he did something to be punished for a wrongdoing?
Because she was already across the street. She was on the side of the road. He was not in the middle of the road when he hit her. She was on the side of the road when she got hit.
That's not what she told me. And your daughter is touching you now, and she's saying to Mom, she's touching you, and she's saying, that's not what happened. She wasn't, your daughter didn't tell me that she was not in the middle of the road. I mean, when you say middle of the road, she wasn't on a street. She was crossing. She's not supposed to cross there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what she said, but she was already across the street. My daughter has the pictures where the motorcycle was when she was hit. Her
I
head
would like
on.
to see that. If you,
Yes.
just a second, if you have proof
Yes.
that, if you have proof that he went up where the cars were parked or went up on the street and hit her, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Your daughter says she really thought she could make it. So she kept going, which means she was in the middle of the road. She was in the road where he was supposed to be and she was not supposed to be. If you're telling me that he actually went up on the street and hit her, I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Okay, great. You have that?
Well, he didn't come up on the side of the road, but
Well, that's what your mother just said.
he was very close to the sidewalk.
She was probably about 2 steps away from the sidewalk.
I don't care. He was where he was supposed to be. She was not where she was supposed to be.
I think it was just more so, it was kind of impossible for him not to see her. Because she was basically crossing the street.
You're not suggesting that what your daughter says is true, that it was basically not possible for him not to see her. That would mean to me that he hit her on purpose. Are you suggesting that he hit her on purpose?
No, ma'am, I wasn't there, so.
You're not suggesting he hit her on purpose.
No.
Of course not, because his motorcycle was damaged. Why would he hit her on purpose? Okay.
Now, I understand that this mother is quite literally upset that her daughter got hit by a bike and this guy was maybe going a little too fast or something. But the thing that I don't understand, and this is something that I see very often on these types of court shows, is when you have a youngster who's up here in the situation of suing somebody or being sued, it always turns around back to a parent or a mother, it usually is a mother, who is enabling their child to be completely just like let loose and who cares about rules and laws and stuff like that. If she was following the rules, which is that you can't jaywalk across the street, then she wouldn't have been hit by a motorcycle. I just don't understand where she thinks that she could just suggest. I mean, Judge Judy literally asked her, are you suggesting that he did this on purpose? And she's kind of like sort of insinuating without saying that she does think that he did that on purpose. And she's hoping that maybe, you know, a miracle will happen and then some evidence would pop out of this guy and help her case against this guy. And, you know, I just think that she's losing her battle here. I'm waiting to hear if there's any ounce of evidence, because something happened that made this mother think or believe that she was going to be able to take this man to court and sue him for punitive damages, that he should be punished for what he did. And I don't know what you guys think about this. It could be a number of things. It could be that there has been a narrative in her mind that she thinks that because of the climate of the situation, I can now do this and it's going to make sense and I'm going to have people on my side. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have the evidence, then no one's going to listen to you. You have to have evidence in these situations. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that she is right and that this guy should be punished, or do you think that it's her fault? Let me know.
An accident is what happens when people don't mean to do something on purpose. That's an accident. When you look at an accident, you have to say, listen, if you have a toddler a 2 3-year-old, and that 2 or 3-year-old darts out between two cars, and a motorist can't stop in time and hits that child, whose fault is that? I'm asking you a question. I want you to picture this. Cars parked on both sides of the street, motorist is going within the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. And a little kid darts in between two cars out in the street, and the car hits him, and he's hurt. Whose fault is that?
The child.
Actually, it's not the child's. It's the parents who were supposed to be watching him. Now, nobody's suggesting that you're supposed to watch your daughter because she's grown up, almost. Mm-hmm. Because she's allowed out at night, you allow her to make decisions for yourself. She's as tall as you are. She's bright. So she has to take responsibility for herself. She didn't dart, but he's not aware of what's going on in her mind. So this was an accident. And I can't ascribe any blame to him for that accident unless you saw her.
I did not.
Well, tell me, you were traveling and you hit her with your motorcycle.
I did.
If you had hit her going 55 miles an hour, she would be dead.
Presumably so, yes.
She not only fortunately was not dead, she wasn't seriously injured.
Correct.
Which suggests to a reasonable person that there was not an excessive speed involved. So I want you to tell me what you saw as you were riding down the street.
I thought it was closer to 8 p.m. I turned off of the highway coming from the store and got up to the stop sign, and I went right, which is where this happened.
Point over there.
Can I go
Yeah,
here?
go ahead.
Okay. I come off the highway right here at the stop sign and turn up this way. And as I'm coming up here, there's another car coming down this way toward me. And the car coming toward me, the headlight blinked out for a second. So I let off my throttle on my bike. And then next thing I know, 3 feet in front of me, a girl appears. Now I'm riding down the middle of my lane. I'm not on the sides. I'm not in the middle of the road. I'm in the middle of my lane. When I seen her, I tried to veer off, but I couldn't. And my bike came to a rest. Right there's the entrance to the parking lot. My bike came to a rest right here. She was right here at the corner of that entrance, and I was off my bike trying to help her.
Okay. What happened to your motorcycle?
It damaged the front end of it. I mean, it demolished the front end of my motorcycle. I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
I would.
I also have an estimate on how much damage it did.
This is an older bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can see it's an older bike. What year bike is it?
It's a 1994.
When did you buy it?
About a year ago, year and a half ago,
Who'd you buy it from?
on the internet, right off Facebook.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $1,500 for it.
Just for giggles, I want to see the estimate that you're going to give me. Okay, so, Mr. Pearson,
Yes, ma'am.
you're suing counterclaiming
Yes, ma'am.
because the accident wasn't your fault. And I am finding that the accident was your fault. That but for the fact that you were crossing in the middle of the street, you actually shouldn't have been where you were. He was in the right. You were not. You actually saw him and miscalculated whether or not you could beat him to the corner. That's what you told me. So it's clear to me that this accident was not his fault, but yours. He was clearly not speeding, because if he was speeding, you would have been seriously injured or worse. But, Mr. Pearson, you say you paid $1,500 for the entire motorcycle.
Right.
You're suing her for $3,500.
Right.
Well, doesn't that sound silly to you?
No, ma'am.
Well, it is silly.
The condition that the bike was in when I bought it to what it is now, and to put it back to that condition.
Buy another 1994 bike.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Buy another 1994 bike. Sarah Rose?
Sure.
Bring up on your trusty calculator. 1994.
Wait, a calculator or
Yeah,
Google?
Google,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know what kind of bike this is.
Honda CBR.
Honda CBR?
Yes, ma'am.
CBR.
600.
You want a price? Or...
Yeah. 1994 Honda CBR.
For a very good condition, $3,145, and then it jumps from good condition is about $1,500.
Good condition is $1,500. Well, that's what he paid for it.
Another one just sold for $3,700, fixed up. $3,000 just
Really?
sold.
You got a very good deal, sir, on this motorcycle.
Yes, I
Who'd you
did.
buy it from?
I bought it from a guy up in Troy, Missouri.
Did you put any work into it?
A lot.
A lot. Like, what did you do to it?
The motor had been redone.
After you bought it,
Yeah.
not before you bought it.
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Pearson, believe it or not, I really believe that you're entitled to some compensation for the damage caused to your bike. I think she was negligent in crossing the way she did. She was crossing where she shouldn't have been crossing. She saw your bike. She decided to cross anyway. That's the scenario. She decided to cross anyway. She thought she could make it. Well, she didn't. She was injured. That's not your fault. Your bike was injured. That would be her fault. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to get what you paid for your bike, $1,500.
Okay.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,500. Your claim is dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was terrified because I didn't know if she was gonna live, if she was severely hurt or anything, so I was scared.
I wasn't at fault for anything, so I think that I should be paid for the damages to my bike since her daughter ran out in front of me.
He actually told the police officer that his bike was already broke, like it was, before he hit my daughter.
The bike was in almost mint shape.
I was just scared, but when I seen her and I seen that she was okay, I was fine.
I didn't see her until she's about 3 feet in front of my bike, and I couldn't do nothing.
It was really scary.
She didn't even have any visible wounds or anything.
I still don't think the accident was my fault.
Look both ways before you cross the road.
I'm just happy she's still.
The thing that I really want to say here is I've seen a lot of cases out there that do, where they are clearly lying and they are like, let's just try and get some money out of this. And this is what's so funny about this case is that the daughter told the truth. So she goes in there like, I'm going to sue for all this money, but then she tells the honest truth, which I'm going to be honest is not a bad thing to do. You should tell the truth. But then completely throws out her own case. Like, why are you wasting time? And then this guy's over here, well, if you're going to take me to court, I'm going to take you to court for the damage to my bike as a counterclaim. And then he ends up winning and he ends up getting the $1,500. I think it's so funny that this young lady, mom, if you're going to, lie to the court and bring someone to try to get some money, then you got to get your daughters to be on the same page because you had your older daughter. She was on the same page and she was willing to step up and start to, lay out the lies that maybe perhaps he did on purpose. And I'll tell you right now that based on what this guy's testimony was, I don't think he was even anywhere close to doing anything on purpose. And it sounds very reasonable that he, on accident, ran into her and was very concerned for her and got off his bike and helped her and stuff like that. And I feel like he felt really terrible for it. And that's just the facts of the case. I agree with Judge Judy that this young lady is very sweet, honest, articulate, and I think that she needs to stay that way. I don't think she should then be upset by this and think that she needs to lie or anything like that to get her way, because at the end of the day, it was her fault. She decided to jaywalk. She decided to do something that put her own life at risk, and it was an accident that was not on purpose, and it landed her with some, thank God, minor injuries. So that's this case, y'all. I want to know what you guys think about this. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Judge Judy was right? Do you think that he should have gotten more for his bike? I think he could have actually gotten more for his bike. $1,500 seems like not a lot of money to be, considering that he did buy this bike, put some money into it, and it was running, and it was kind of a good investment for him. I think he deserves more money. So let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. I can't wait to hear them and respond to them.